I asked ChatGPT to write me alternate endings for Breaking Bad in different styles, and we're gonna go through them today. Here's a list of the different endings we're gonna be going through today. I definitely have some personal favorites, but you'll see. Let's start off with ChatGPT just writing us a normal alternate ending. After years of cooking and dealing meth, Walter White finally finds himself cornered by his enemies. As he lies wounded on the floor, his former partner Jesse Pinkman appears, holding a gun. In that moment, Walter realizes the terrible cost of his actions. He begs Jesse to spare him, promising to turn himself in and make amends for everything he's done. Jesse, torn between his anger and his sense of justice, hesitates. But as he looks into Walter's eyes, he sees the pain and regret there. He remembers the friendship they once had, and he knows that he can't bring himself to kill his old partner. With a deep breath, Jesse lowers the gun and tells Walter to leave. "Get out of here," he says, "and don't you ever come back." Walter staggers to his feet and stumbles out of the meth lab, leaving behind his life of crime and violence. As he walks into the sunlight, he knows that he'll never fully be able to make up for the harm he's caused, but he's determined to try. In the years that follow, Walter turns himself into the authorities and cooperates with their investigation. He works tirelessly to make amends, using his knowledge of the drug trade to help take down other kingpins and bring justice to their victims. Though he's never able to fully escape the consequences of his actions, Walter finds a measure of peace in knowing that he's done everything he can to make things right. And as he looks back on his life, he realizes that even in the darkest moments, there was always a glimmer of hope. The real ending was still 100 times better, I'm just gonna make that clear, but I'm not done just yet. Let's generate a dark alternate ending for Breaking Bad. As the final season unfolds, Walter becomes increasingly ruthless in his pursuit of power, using violence and intimidation to maintain his grip on the drug empire he's built. His relationships with those closest to him become strained as they witness his descent into darkness. In the penultimate episode, Walter's former partners turn against him, seeing him as a liability and a threat to their own power. They orchestrate a plan to take him down and eliminate him once and for all. But Walter is not willing to go down without a fight. He unleashes all the resources at his disposal, using his intelligence to outsmart his enemies and emerge victorious, leaving his enemies dead. In the final episode, we see Walter standing alone, surveying the destruction he's caused. He's won, but at what cost? He's lost everyone and everything he's ever cared about, and there's no one left to share in his victory. As he stands there contemplating his fate, he's suddenly shot from behind by a lone gunman. It's a fitting end for a man who lived by the sword and died by it. The series ends with a shot of Walter lying on the ground, lifeless and alone. It's a dark and haunting ending, showing the ultimate cost of Walter's actions and the destructive power of unchecked ambition. Now, that is my type of ending. I like the little dark twist in it, you know? I'm assuming when it talks about Walter's former partners, it is talking about Jesse and Saul, or maybe even Uncle Jack's crew, but I'd like to believe it's Jesse and Saul to make an extra dark ending. So if you're a Breaking Bad fan, I'm sure you've heard of the theory that Breaking Bad is in the same universe as The Walking Dead. So I wrote ChatGPT a prompt saying give me an alternate ending to Breaking Bad that leads into The Walking Dead, and this is one of my favorite ones yet. As Walter White lies dying from his gunshot wound, he looks up and sees a news report on the TV about a mysterious outbreak of a deadly virus in Atlanta. He realizes that this virus is the result of his own actions, as the blue meth he created had unintended side effects that triggered the virus. Desperate to make amends, Walter uses the last bit of his strength to create a message that will warn the world of the virus and provide instructions on how to protect oneself from it. He sends the message to his former student and protege, Jesse Pinkman, knowing that he is the only one who can get the message out. Jesse, haunted by his role in Walter's crimes, takes up the cause and begins spreading the message far and wide. As the virus spreads and the world falls into chaos, Jesse becomes a leader in the fight against the virus, using his knowledge of chemistry and his experience with Walter to help develop a cure. But despite their best efforts, the virus continued to spread, and Jesse knows that they need to do more to survive. He begins working with a group of survivors in Atlanta, including a former police officer named Rick Grimes, to create a safe haven for those who are immune to the virus. As the group struggles to survive in this new world, they come to realize that Walter's legacy is still with them. They discover that the virus was not just the result of Walter's actions, but of a larger conspiracy involving a secret government agency. Determined to uncover the truth and find a way to stop this virus once and for all, Jesse and Rick lead the group on a perilous journey that takes them from Atlanta to the heart of the conspiracy. And as they fight to survive in a world overrun by walkers, they realize that they are the last hope for humanity. Holy shit. Am I as crazy, or does that sound like a plot for a genuinely good TV show? It's so far out there, but that sounds amazing. I almost wanted to ask it to continue, but for the sake of this, I'm just gonna end that there. So we did a dark ending of Breaking Bad. Now let's generate a happy alternate ending for Breaking Bad. As the final season unfolds, Walter is consumed with guilt over the harm he's caused to those he loves. He starts to realize that his desire for power and control has only brought him pain and suffering, and he's ready to make a change. With the help of Jesse and Skyler, Walter sets to undo the damage he's done. They work together to bring down the drug empire he helped build while also reaching out to those who were hurt along the way. In the penultimate episode, Walter finally makes peace with his own morality and accepts that his time is running out. He decides to use his remaining time to do good in the world, setting up a charitable foundation to help those in need. In the final episode, we see Walter, Jesse, and Skyler reflecting on their journey together. They're no longer enemies, but allies working towards a common goal. They've all come to terms with the mistakes they've made, and they're ready to move forward with their lives. The series ends with a shot of Walter, surrounded by his family and friends, watching as the foundation he's created starts to make a difference in the world. It's a happy and hopeful ending, showing that even in the darkest of situations, it's possible to find redemption and make amends. Oh, beautiful, man. Too bad Walter's a maniac and that would never happen. But it's beautiful regardless, you know? But to top everything off, I generated a poorly written ending of Breaking Bad, just to see what it would say. As the final season unfolds, Walter's cancer becomes increasingly aggressive and starts to take on a life of its own. It taunts and torments Walter, urging him to commit increasingly heinous acts in order to survive. In the penultimate episode, Walter finally comes face to face with this sentient cancer, which takes the form of a giant slimy monster. In a poorly choreographed fight scene, Walter manages to defeat the monster by hitting it with a conveniently placed vat of acid. In the final episode, we see Walter, now cured of his cancer, but haunted by the memories of his battle with the evil tumor. He's lost everything he's ever cared about, but he's still alive, and that's all that matters. The series ends with a shot of Walter standing alone in the desert, staring off into the distance. It's a very unsatisfying ending, leaving viewers wondering what the whole point of the series was in the first place. The fact that it came up with that, I don't know what to say. I would pay an ungodly amount of money to see a choreographed fight scene between Walter White and a sentient, slimy, big ball of cancer. Last but not least, basically I was just messing around and putting Breaking Bad alternate ending about this character or this character or this character, and I wasn't going to use any of them, but the one it generated about Huell, I just have to talk about it. In this alternate ending of Breaking Bad, Huell, Saul's loyal bodyguard, plays a pivotal role in the final outcome of the show. As the series draws to a close, we can see Huell left behind in a safe house, waiting for his boss, Saul, to come back. But as days turn into weeks and weeks turn into months, it becomes clear to Huell that something has gone terribly wrong. With no word from Saul or any indication of what has happened to him, Huell realizes that he's been left to fend for himself. Determined to uncover the truth, Huell starts investigating Saul's past clients and associates, hoping to find a clue that will lead him to Saul. In the process, he discovers evidence that implicates Walter White in a series of crimes that he previously had no knowledge of. Huell's investigation leads him to the DEA, where he shares the evidence he's collected with Agent Hank Schrader. With Hank's help, Huell agrees to testify against Walter in exchange for immunity from prosecution. In the final scenes of the show, we see Huell taking the stand and telling the truth about Walter's involvement in the drug trade. Walt is eventually arrested and sentenced to life in prison, while Huell walks away a free man. As the credits roll, we see Huell walking down a street, looking up at the sky with a sense of freedom and liberation. He has overcome his loyalty to Saul and helped bring a criminal mastermind to justice. It's a bittersweet ending, but for Huell, it's a new beginning, one where he can finally live his life on his own terms. Do I even have to explain why it's my favorite ending? Huell is liberated, he's free, he helped bring a terrible man into the hands of the law. He helped put a terrible man in jail. They would have never done this ending, but I'm just saying, I would have been one of the few people who absolutely loved it. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was a really random video, but it's just so fun messing with ChatGPT and getting it to generate these alternate endings. If you want me to do more of these, just let me know. It's so fun doing it, genuinely. This is Television Hub, signing out. I'll see y'all next time.